Welcome back to Red Glasses Talks. The title today is Identity Theft. What in the world's identity theft? Well, I looked it up. Identity theft occurs when someone uses another person's personal identifying information, like their name, identifying number, or credit card numbers, without their permission to commit fraud or other crimes. It's not a fun deal. If you've ever been through it, it ain't a fun deal. Well, there's another kind of identity theft that I want to talk about now. In fact, I want to talk about it for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and it's this. It occurs when we allow what the culture, the world, and people around us say about us and say are the key things that you have to make you okay, to make you significant, to make you somebody. So that's what we're going to talk about. And that's going to be coming up next week in the next few weeks. So who is affected by this identity theft? Our real identity, the kind of person we are, where our value and our worth comes from. Well, I believe whether you're 9, 19, or 90, you struggle with this to one degree or another. It's often said by those who study this that a child's self-esteem and identity is put in place by the time they're around 5 years old. So how they're brought up and what they experience, the world which they live in, especially in their home, those first 4 or 5 years shape that. Now, if it's a negative shaping, it doesn't mean that it can't change, but often it doesn't, and the change does come. It's often very, very difficult. And so, what does the world say? What does society say that we have to have in order to be worth something? Well, they say several things. Number one, if you're a student, let's say you're in high school, middle school, or whatever, even up through college, they say 3 things. You got to have brains, you got to have beauty, and you got to have things. So that means if you don't have a certain kind of build, if you're an athlete and you don't have the speed that somebody else has, or the muscular development that others have, that you're competing with or against, then you begin to feel like you're 3 bricks short of a full load. So the beauty, and it goes with men and women as well. Often we're always comparing ourselves with each other in terms of especially how we look. Another one is that it's brains. It's how smart are you? And what this is really saying is average is not good enough. And so I was average when I was coming along in school. And whatever grades I got, I had to work very hard. And anyway, and then that third thing, they say you have to have stuff or things. So it's the kind of car you drive. It's the kind of places you go for vacation. It's the kind of home you live in. And I grew up, again, in very poor conditions and didn't want to have my friends come over to the house. I was embarrassed. And that can leave a mark on your life and how you operate and how you think. So I think another one is guilt and shame. We were never created by God as a human being to carry guilt and shame. Guilt and shame will eat your lunch. And so the scripture says in a little book on the Psalms, chapter 31, it says, "O Lord," this is David, the king of Israel, "have mercy on me in my anguish. My eyes are red from weeping. My health is broken from sorrow. I am pining away with grief. My years are shortened, drained away because of sadness. My sins have sapped my strength. I stoop with sorrow and with shame." So we were never built by God to carry guilt and shame. And we have to learn how to deal with that, and there is a way to deal with that, and we're going to talk about that in another session. So, what are the effects? What are some of the effects of not understanding our true value and our worth? Having our identity stolen. Let me just give you a few. Drinking to excess, overeating, anorexia, sexual exploits, risky behavior, suicides, which I think at the bottom of that is self-hate, control freak, verbal or physical fighting, withdrawing, changing your gender, etc., etc., etc. I really believe, and I've been saying it recently, when you look at all the things going on around our country today that are hurtful, destructive, alarming, etc., so much of it, I'd say 99% of it, is driven by individuals that do not like themselves. Therefore, they are angry, they are destructive, and they don't know any way out other than to hurt somebody else and say ugly things about somebody else. I often wonder if these people that are stealing and hurting and so angry, if a video were taken of them and they were sitting in their home watching that, would they be pleased with that in themselves? Is that really the kind of person you want to be? Well, let me tell you, dear friends, there is a way out. So here are a couple of things to remember as we close today. It is impossible to love someone else if you don't love yourself. Number 2, you will never think more highly of others than you think of yourself. If you don't respect you, you won't respect others. Most moral and spiritual problems come because of a low self-esteem and self-love. Finally, you will love on the level you perceive of yourself to be. Well, has your identity been stolen? Have you ever found your true identity? Well, listen, you stay tuned starting next time, and we're going to go through 2 or 3 weeks of helping you know how for sure to find your true identity.